Hey everyone, welcome to the Fiveable AP Chem intro to the course, intro to what we're going to be doing this year. I'm so happy to be here. Hey Melanie, hey Matthew, nice to see you've already utilized our comment section over to the side. Hello everyone. So if at any point today you have questions and want to ask, please use either the comment bar over on the side. And if you notice down on the bottom, there's also an ask a question section. And I'll be sure definitely by the end to go through as many of the questions that I can. The other thing that I wanted to quickly ask everyone to do who is watching, I'm just kind of curious as to who is watching. So if you're a student or a teacher, if you can go to the poll section and let me know. That is also located down below, polls. So we have a few students, it looks like. No teachers yet, but that's okay. Maybe they'll get here someday. And then last but not least, what I want to do is upload the slides that I'm going to be using. So if you look down below, I'm going to go ahead and show the slides. It should have propagated itself. This is what we're going to be talking about today in the AP Chemistry intro. Luckily, there won't be so much specific AP Chem today, but there will be a little bit, and hopefully you guys are all prepared to do that. So let me go ahead and get started here. I'm going to share my intro slides up above. Hopefully everyone can see those there, and it's propagating itself there. Let's see here. Wonderful. So once again, welcome. I've already given you a few tasks. Hopefully you have taken the poll. We have so far 100% are students. You can ask a question in the question category if needed. And last but not least, the slides are posted down below. So once again, my name is Wes Winter. I'm one of the streamers for Fiveable this year. There is a huge crew that is going to be teaching all of you AP Chemistry all year long. I am so excited. They're so excited. They've been sending me their slides. They've been talking about cool ways to make chemistry easier for everyone here. What we are planning on doing today is looking at a few things. So first off, we're going to be talking about how Fiveable streams work, especially in the world of AP Chemistry. The next thing that I want to discuss with everyone is the test. So what are you expecting when you get the test? What is the types of questions they will be asking you? What do FRQs look like? Hopefully this won't take too long. And the last thing is the CED booklet. This is the course exam and description booklet, which is available to everyone. And I always like to kind of say, hey, if you are going to be tested on something, your teachers are definitely responsible and will teach you everything you need to know about the test. But it's also nice to know exactly what's coming, especially from the people who write the test. So the CED booklet, the course exam and description booklet, is something provided to you by the College Board. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. First things first, for the Fiveable streams, if you are ever wondering where can I find certain streams, what are you guys going to be talking about, follow Think Fiveable at Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. They will all post and propagate when we'll be viewing and doing certain streams. You can also, as most of you are already aware, have your Fiveable account. And you can see and follow, for example, the chemistry tab where we'll be propagating those. Okay, cool. So the upcoming streams, here we go. In this week, we have 2 more streams. The first one is going to be on Thursday, August 29th. This is going to be our AP Chemistry Essentials. As far as what's going on in the stream, you'll be looking at what is matter, what are properties, what is energy, basically all the important and essential vocabulary that is in this class. And then on August 30th, this Friday, we'll be taking a dive into nomenclature, everyone's favorite art of naming chemistry and naming chemical compounds. It'll be really fun. I'm really looking forward to those two streams, which will be put on by other streamers for the AP Chem. Alrighty-o. So before we jump in, I'm kind of curious as to something that you are all working on. What are you currently working on in your AP Chemistry classes? If you could write what you're currently working on in your AP Chemistry class in the comment section to the right, I would love to kind of hear where you're at. So what is it that you're currently looking at, and what are you working on? I'll give you a couple seconds to do that. Acid base already. Nice, Matthew. Stoichiometry. Yeah, we'll be getting to that pretty soon. A lot of students start pretty quickly with that. And then I have a question really quick, which I think is interesting, but I have a question for this person. What is AS stand for? Stands for what? Okay, reviewing atomic mass unit and atomic structure. Nice. Significant digits in matter. So actually, if you're really interested in that, we'll be talking about significant digits in the AP Chemistry Essential this Thursday. Periodic table. Yeah, we're going to be talking about, hopefully in a couple weeks, about the subatomic particles, stuff like that. Nice, cool. Wonderful. Thank you so much for everyone for putting that up. So let's go ahead and dive in then to the test, and I promise you we will kind of discuss some of those things there. So first things first, the test. Like Bill Murray says, you over there, you can rock this test. The test is roughly 3 hours and 15 minutes. Actually, not roughly, it's exactly that long. And it's composed of two parts. We have the multiple choice section and the free response section. This is pretty comparable to most of the schools, the College Board tests out there currently. They have a pretty quick multiple choice and a pretty quick free response, and you're done. You get to go home. You've done it. So let's look quickly at the multiple choice section. See, I haven't put that answer before. So what I want everyone to realize is this is a 90-minute section, and it's 50% of the exam weight. There are 60 multiple choice questions. And as far as those questions go, that's about 90 seconds per question. Obviously, you will be able to answer some questions quicker than others. Others you will take a lot longer, but that's okay. You are all in AP level students, and you know how to do and have good test taking strategies. The other thing that I want you to know specifically for this class is that you are not allowed a calculator on the multiple choice section. You're not allowed a calculator on specifically the multiple choice question. So a lot of my students and peers kind of freak out about this, like, oh my God, no calculator. That's fine. You are totally capable at asking and answering multiple choice questions, especially when they come and are related to math. So what I have here is an example multiple choice question that I wrote myself. And I want you to take a couple seconds to see if you can answer this without using a calculator. Some of you may be very comfortable with this. Some of you might not be. But I just kind of want to show you the level of questioning that you'll have. What is the mass of a 2.0 mole sample of CO2, carbon dioxide? And they give you the molar mass of CO2. That is 44.01 grams per mole. In the comments section, go ahead and write your answer, A, B, C, or D. And first level of Cambridge Chem. So this is college level chem. So as far as the asking a question goes, I'm just going to quickly answer this. If this stream is specifically for AP chemistry, there may be overlap. But depends. Nice. I'm getting a lot of C answers, which makes me happy. So I'm just going to enter this comment. And actually, really quickly, there was a question in there. I'm going to quickly answer it. Is AP Chem similar to AS Chem? It sounds like AS Chem might be a college level Cambridge class. This stream will focusly, and most of the stream for AP Chem will focus on AP Chem. As far as Cambridge chemistry goes, they could have some overlapping stuff, but we're not catering a lot to that. So hopefully that helps. All right, so back to my questions here. What is the mass of a 2-mole sample of CO2? And yeah, C seems to be the answer, because if you multiply a 2-mole sample by 44 grams per mole, the moles end up canceling out and you get 88 grams. Now, don't get me wrong, you are gonna have some harder math questions with this. I've even seen like a logarithm question or two. But as far as those go, once again, don't freak out. You have the mathematical ability to make good, educated guesses. And in the end of the day, if it's a multiplication or division, you're at like the hardest multiplying or dividing by 3s or 5s, which is a lot easier with our calculator, I know, but yeah, that might be it. So once again, if you have any questions about multiple choice, what you might be expecting, go ahead and click in the Ask a Question section and we can check it out there. All right, moving on to the free response question, FRQ. There are test points everywhere. This section is a little bit longer at 105 minutes, but it is the other 50% of the exam grade. There are a total of 7 FRQs. 3 of them are longer and 4 of them are short. What I mean by this, I'll describe it in a second. But the longer questions are each worth 10 points, and the shorter questions are worth 4 points each. And you are literally just awarded the point or not. So you have to write the right thing, and if you do, you get the point. If you don't write the right thing, you don't. When we're in this particular section, what I want you to realize is that you are allowed to use a scientific and graphing calculator. So they switch it out, you're allowed to use this. The scientific calculators that I use is like the TI-30s, they're the solar panel ones. Those work perfectly fine. Graphing calculators can be very helpful in some instances within the world of AP chemistry. But at the end of the day, you don't have to have like a $130 graphing calculator. Once again, they can help, but they don't always. So let's go ahead and check out the long questions. So from last year's test, the 2019 release question number 1. So if you Google these questions, Google these tests, they pop up right on the Google search. I usually will type in AP Chemistry 2019. And they give you a release test. Now, usually they do about 2 tests, so there are unreleased questions as well. The first long FRQ had questions about Lewis structures and hybridization, intermolecular forces, solution chemistry. There was like a part where you had to determine molarity, and it even brought in thermodynamics and entropy. That's a lot, but you have to remember they are grading you out of 10 points. I think number 1 was like part A through F or something like that. And then, so there's a lot of points to be gotten from that. But as far as the short question, so if you fast forward to the short question on FRQ number 4, it only asked about gas law and the kinetic molecular theory. Yeah, really, that's it. So usually you can work with those questions pretty quickly. There's a lot of different strategies that work for a lot of different students. Sometimes a lot of my students in the past go and answer the short FRQs first because it kind of pumps them up. It makes them really excited for the longer questions. And sometimes they just start at the beginning and work their way through. A couple things that I want to talk about in terms of those test taking strategies. We're going to jump really quickly back to the multiple choice question there. Say you're looking at this question and what is the mass of a 2.0 mole sample of CO2? And you go, oh my God, I don't know. I don't remember. Write something. I mean, of course, try to eliminate something A through D, but they don't give you any wrong points. They don't deduct points for wrong answers. So you should always put something. Always put something. And then as far as the FRQs and those questions go. What I want to say about the long questions is this: sometimes the questions build on each other, not always. What I've done in terms of my research on how this test is specifically graded, a lot of teachers say that you get awarded points if the next question relies on the answer from the first one and you get your first part wrong, but then the next part you use the number correctly, they will still award you the points. The other thing I want to point out is, say, like, for example, you just had a rough year with Lewis structures and hybridization. Don't skip the entire question, because I guarantee you if Lewis structures and hybridization was letter A and B of the FRQ number 1, you can easily answer the intermolecular forces question. You don't always have to know the initial parts for those. And yeah, that's pretty much my test taking strategies. We'll keep working on those throughout the year. Cool. I want to really quickly, everyone, take a deep breath. I'm mostly doing this for myself. And I'm going to take a quick moment here to see if anyone has any questions or kind of see how we feel about this. Is this everyone's first time taking a AP class? Go ahead and let me know in the comment section if this is your first AP class. And if it is, great. If it's not, even better. First AP Science. Nice. Cool. First AP. Nice. Nice. My goodness. You guys are doing the right thing, finding stuff like this. That was great. Cool. All right. Year after AP Bio. My goodness. AP Bio is a crazy class. I bet that was super fun. And on Fiveable Live. Cool. Welcome to Fiveable Live. All right. Welcome. All right. Cool. So let's go ahead and move on. I just have a few extra things to discuss and talk about. And I think I will open it up to questions. I was thinking maybe at the end of this, since there's only a few of us in this particular stream, if you have specific questions, maybe I can go over and help you a little bit with those. So next thing I want to go over are the units. So as far as the units go, you can see them listed here. You have atomic structure and properties, molecular and ionic compounds, structure and properties, intermolecular forces and properties, so they like properties of these things, chemical reactions, kinetics, thermodynamics, principles of equilibrium, acids and bases, and applications of thermodynamics. Now, what I want to say about this particular layout is this. A lot of students that go through AP Chemistry have teachers that teach directly out of the textbook. That is perfectly fine. You're going to get all of the information. A lot of the teachers actually will use these specific units to lay out their year. That's what I normally do. And I have my own reasons, but your teachers have their own reasons too. And some teachers go, I'm going to take a little bit of this, a little bit of that. They're just all over the place, and that's okay. So just be aware that you will eventually cover all of these things, but here at Fiveable, we're going to be covering these things in this rough order. There might be a few times where we go out of order a little bit to help and accommodate certain students in terms of like a great amount of questions for a specific section, but we'll be kind of all over the place. I want to point out specifically unit number 3, intermolecular forces and properties. Notice the percentage from that section, 18 to 22%. I don't know why this number is so high, but I do agree with it. Every time I read through multiple choice questions, every time I go ahead and look at free response questions online, a large amount of questions you to describe how chemicals like to interact with each other, right? When we look at the word intermolecular forces, it's describing the force of attraction between molecules. And this just allows for us to describe so many, so many cool things and properties of chemicals, compounds, and our world too. We really like this section in AP Chemistry, and you will be tested on a lot. So make sure you're pretty well aware of that. I think the other reason that the percentage is so high for this section is because it spans the most chapters in your textbooks. So intermolecular forces and properties will span the states of matter. So like you probably will be looking at a solid chapter, a liquid chapter, and a gas chapter. Intermolecular forces and properties also encompasses solution chemistry, and a whole other plethora of things. We can also even look at some of the properties of compounds by themselves and use it to describe some of their bulk scale properties. And those bulk scale properties are going to be like the melting and boiling points, viscosity, surface tension, stuff like that. Okay, I would always like to break up my science with a fun fact. So I'm going to do one fun fact and I'll do one more fun fact later. So quick fact time. If you could write in the comments section, and I promise you there's a point to this, write in the comments section, what is the chemical symbol for lead? What is the chemical symbol for lead? And I'll wait about 30 seconds. And it looks like we have Kai with the win, but Rebecca is close behind, both with correct answers. Yeah, PB. Now, one of the things that drove me crazy as a young chemist, as a young learner of chemistry, was why these symbols never matched up with the name, right? Like, why couldn't lead be LD? Well, some of them correspond to old Latin names. Some of them correspond to just old names in general. In my opinion, PB is the best old name. The old name for lead was plumbum. Yes, that's right, plumbum. Kind of makes you giggle a little bit. As far as plumbum goes, we used to line our irrigation and pipes with lead. And who do we call when our toilets and pipes are broken? We call plumbers. Plumbers work on plumbum. So that's just one of our many quick facts, and I'll go ahead and give you another quick fact later on down the road. All right, cool. So we have worked our way through some of the tests. We have talked about specifically the units, the orientation of the year, and I can go ahead and give you some of the specific layouts of those units and what you should be focusing on. But once again, that's kind of what we at Fiveable are going to be focusing on this year. So moving on, and this is the last thing that I want to talk about in terms of the tests. This is the last thing I'm going to go over in terms of the test today. And that's specific science practices that they expect you to know and use. These science practices are tested in a plethora of ways. There are 6 of them in total, so I'll go over all 6 of them and just kind of give you some examples that you should be looking for and keeping an eye on. So the first one is models and representations. The sub little part or description is describe the components and representations that illustrate particle level properties. You have to be mediocre at drawing, is basically what this is saying. I think some of the hardest drawings, though, are circles. So we'll come back to that, and I know that sounds a little funky, but you have to be a little bit good at drawing. I think that sometimes you have to be able to represent, particles colliding, especially when we get to the kinetic molecular theory or the collision theory for reaction kinetics. Sometimes it's helpful to be able to draw labware and use that within your descriptions on the FRQs. Sometimes it's nice to be able to draw these things just to kind of help you out with a multiple choice question. The next science practice that the College Board is looking for is question and method. This is essentially a glorified scientific method section, i.e., we're looking at how do you question things, how do you make hypotheses, how do you collect and analyze data, and how do you understand what that data means? What is your reasoning behind this? A lot of times on FRQs or free responses, or excuse me, those are the same thing, or multiple choices, they will ask you to modify an experiment. And what I mean by this is they'll say, oh, Jerry is doing chemistry and he pours a little bit of the extra reactant in. What will happen in the chemical, what will happen down the road after the reaction has occurred, mathematically and also maybe qualitatively as well. Next, we have representing data and phenomena. This is going to be drawing structures and models that represent chemicals and reactions. This can be anything from Lewis structures. This can be describing, once again, the collision model using circles and molecules colliding. But this can also be referring to understanding graphical data and also you yourself graphing data that you get from chemical experiments and stuff like that. Two really common examples of graphs that you see on tests are going to be mass spec data, mass spectrometry data, and PES, photo electron spectrometry. They, since the 2014 reboot of AP Chemistry, have asked those questions every single year. Cool. So we're going to move on to the next section, and that is the last three science practices. What I want to point out really quickly for model analysis. Model analysis is the only science practice that is not assessed in the multiple choice section. The model analysis specifically is looked at in the FRQ section. And in my opinion, this is both the easiest and hardest question that they ask. And the reason that I think this is because you have to be good at counting, which all of you are, I'm sure. And you have to be okay at drawing circles. And once again, drawing circles, what the heck does that mean? We'll get there, I promise you. The reason that this is the hardest part is because sometimes you think you should be being asked a harder question and you just aren't. You just have to say 5 chemicals reacted and produced 5 products. And that can be a little overwhelming, especially in that testing environment at the end of the year. Last two. We have mathematical routines, using and applying laws and formulas to support chemical discoveries. I think probably the easiest example for this would be the ideal gas law, PV equals nRT. If you haven't already, I would highly recommend looking at the equation sheet that College Board provides to all of the students during the test. It has a list of formulas and a list of variables and what they stand for. It also has a list of constants on that as well. The reason I highly recommend looking at that ahead of time is because first off, we here on the streaming service are going to be looking at every single one of those formulas and describing what each of those formulas are to you. But we are also making sure that we don't get into the test and not know what a specific letter means, right? When we do PV equals nRT, we know that P stands for pressure, V stands for volume, N moles, R is that universal gas constant, T is temperature. And we also know, right, that when we use the ideal gas law, our variables have to be in specific units when we use these. And the last science practice is argumentation. You need to be able to make and support claims. Oftentimes, this is going to be analyzing error. Oftentimes, this is going to be making your own hypotheses. And hopefully at this point on the 6th science practice, you can see that there's overlap in what we're talking about here. And that's fine, because once again, we're trying to make sure that we create and have really strong scientists by the end of the year. Which, of course, if you are coming here watching us, doing your homework, doing all this crazy bajillion things that you high schoolers have to do, you will be able to do that. So, quick fact time. In the comment section, what I want you to do, there are 2 states, and if you know the answer to this, great. There are 2 states, and what I mean by this is like United States of America states that have never recorded temperatures above 100 degrees Fahrenheit. 2 states. I'll give you one. I'm gonna give you one. Alaska has never recorded temperatures above 100 degrees Fahrenheit. In the comment section, write your guess of the other state that has not reached temperatures above 100 degrees Fahrenheit. I'll wait a few seconds while these propagate. Yeah, Alaska, Hawaii, Minnesota. Oh my goodness, Massachusetts. Why would you put Hawaii? All right. Looks like Fiveable is absolutely right. Hawaii is the other state. Hawaii is actually the other state. The highest recorded temperature for Hawaii is exactly 100 degrees Fahrenheit. Is that not mind-blowing? And guess what? There's actually a chemistry answer to this. As far as Hawaii goes, it is completely surrounded by water. Water has an extremely high or pretty high specific heat. So even though it's getting an incredible amount of sun from the sun, excuse me, an incredible amount of heat from the sun, all of that energy goes into heating up and warming the water rather than the atmosphere around. So yeah, I guarantee you, go Google this right now, or even after our session, and you'll see the highest recorded temperature for Hawaii is around 100. Some say 98, some say 99. The one I looked up just to double check, the last one I double checked was 100 degrees Fahrenheit. Alrighty-o. So this about comes to the end of what we're hopefully talking about within this class. You absolutely, hopefully, can ask some questions at this point, whether these questions relate to the test itself, what specifically we're going to be going over in this class, something you're doing in this class, and what I'll do is kind of stay around for 3 to 4 minutes and help you out with these things. But if no questions get propagated, then I might head out and say goodbye for the day. So thank you so much. And don't forget, the Ask a Question tab is down below. And it looks like Rebecca is asking our first multiple choice question. And so I'm going to start answering this now. So no calculators for the multiple choice question mark? That is absolutely true. You are not allowed to use a calculator on the multiple choice portion of the test. Once again, there is still math on the multiple choice part, but not as much as you were expecting. I would say probably like 1 in 5 or 1 in 6 questions involve you doing some sort of math. And then, of course, if it is math related, you can multiply and divide pretty straightforward. I promise you the math is not going to be too challenging. So these kinds of through the course as the year goes on, like an online lesson, and how frequently. So Melanie is asking, so these live streams kind of go on through the course as the year goes on, like an online lesson, and how frequently. Yeah, that's essentially the idea. We have multiple types of streams that we're going to be looking at doing this year. The first type is going to be online lectures, either through me or some of the other, once again, fantastic streamers. As far as, let's see here, online lessons. As far as other streams go, me and my AP Chemistry team are looking at how to maybe do some sort of Ask Me Anything sessions, because I totally understand that not every single AP teacher is doing exactly what I am going to be doing here on Fiveable. And I think part of that problem kind of arises, like if we're looking at an AP history class, usually they go through history chronologically. If we're looking at government, same thing, you kind of go through chronologically. If you're looking at AP English, we're really going to be focusing on like writing essays and stuff like that. And by the way, I'm not an expert in any of the AP fields, so don't quote me on this. But we here are going to be going through the units that are described in the course exam and course and exam description, which you can Google and look up. And we will be throwing every week or two, every other week, an Ask Me Anything kind of session. And then last but not least, we'll have about 3 to 2 sessions a week. If we get really popular, we're definitely going to be having more. So hopefully that answers your question, Melanie. How to calculate the correct number of significant figures. So let me answer this question in kind of a broad way. And then I do want to point out one other thing. So first off, on Thursday, we will be going over specifically significant figures. We will be absolutely 100% going over significant figures and answering how to count them, what the heck is going on with zeros. I'll maybe spend a second or two doing that here as well. What else? How to do operations with significant figures. So Melanie, once again, how does the AP exam take into account Sig Figs? Like, would you lose a point for that? And what the answer to that is, you're usually allowed a Sig Fig within 1 digit. the best thing to do, in my opinion, and a lot of people agree with this, is to answer your question using 3 Sig Figs. That's not always the correct number of significant figures, but that will usually get you the right way. So first thing, you should just learn Sig Figs. But as long as you're within 1, you will usually be good, especially on FRQs. On the FRQ section, there is one question, and it's one very specific question that relates to getting the correct number of significant figures. And that usually comes from reading correctly some sort of glassware, a burette, a graduated cylinder, something like that. So that actually is important for reading significant figures. And then once again, Kai, how to calculate the correct number of significant figures. These are incredibly important for measurements, right? So when we are looking at significant figures, we want to make sure that we understand that we are telling other scientists how we are measuring things. So the quick rundown of rules, and once again, this will be gone over on Thursday, and I would highly recommend that session. But the quick rundown on rules is any non-zero digit, so that's going to be 1 through 9, are always significant. And then the next one is what type of zero are we looking at? So we can either be looking at a 0 that comes to the left of a non-zero digit. And when I say left of a non-zero digit, I'm referring to a leading 0. I call these leading zeros. They are never significant. Leading zeros are never significant. So for example, 0.025. 0.025 has 2 significant figures because 0.0 both come to the left of the 2 and the 5. If you have a 0 in between 2 numbers that are not 0, that 0 is always significant. That will be, for example, 209. 209, that 0 is sandwiched right in between the 2 and the 9. That makes that 0 significant. And 209 centimeters would have 3 significant figures. Now the last one, and this is the one that confuses a lot of students. I totally understand this. This is going to be a 0 that comes to the right of a non-zero digit. Notice what I said there. I didn't say a 0 that comes to the right of a decimal. That's wrong. Don't look at where it is compared to the decimal. Look at the 0 compared where it is to the other numbers. So once again, if you have a 0 that comes to the right of a non-zero digit, it's significant if there's a decimal point. What I mean by this is, let's take the example 250 milliliters. This can either have 2 or 3 significant figures. 250 without a decimal says that 0 is not significant. So 250 without a decimal, that means there's only 2 significant figures in that measurement. 250 with the decimal at the end, so 250 dot, that would have 3 significant figures because the 0 coming after the 0, coming after the numbers is significant because the decimal is written. So 250 dot has a total of 3 significant figures. So hopefully that answers very basically, Kai, your question. And once again, we're going to be going over these in a lot more detail. So what I want everyone to do to kind of end on our note today, I want you to write an emoji about how you're feeling about Fiveable streams, especially in relation to chemistry. So give me an emoji of thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs in the middle, super excited, kind of anxious, you know. Go ahead and give me some sort of emoji that makes you feel, that describes, how you're feeling about this class. And then we'll end there today. Nice, Melanie. Kyle, love it. Liking it, Matthew, super stoked. Happy for the streams. I'm happy to do them. Wonderful. I'm loving all of these excited emojis. Last but not least, I want to point out that I'm a super nerd. One of my favorite things ever is Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. So at the end of the day, don't panic. Bring your towel. You guys are going to be great. All right. Hopefully this was helpful, and I will see everyone real soon. And some of our other streamers will see you real soon. We have, once again, Thursday for significant figures, which seemed like a big needed topic. We also have matter descriptions, property descriptions, and Friday for that nomenclature. The Thursday stream is going to be at, thank you for asking, 7 p.m. Eastern time. So 7 p.m. Eastern time. And then the Friday stream is going to be at 8 p.m. Eastern time. Hopefully that helps. All right. Oh my gosh, you're all students. I just looked at the poll. That makes me so excited. All right, right on, everyone. Have a great day. Feel free to rock on. See you later.